The human rights situation in the Democratic Republic of Congo, already troubled for decades, is rapidly deteriorating. Armed clashes, attacks on schools and hospitals, sexual violence, and other forms of abuse are escalating at an alarming rate, warn human rights experts. Volker Turk, the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, urged the international community to pay closer attention to the plight of Congolese civilians who are being victimized by a volatile mix of escalating violence, regional and international interests, exploitative businesses, and weak rule of law. Turk stated that the number of victims of human rights violations is growing, with armed groups fighting in the eastern provinces responsible for most of these violations, including deadly attacks against civilians and civilian infrastructure, including schools and hospitals. He also expressed concern over the spread of sexual violence, noting that the armed groups take people prisoners, subject women and girls to sexual slavery, and that many of them have been killed after being raped. Furthermore, Turk highlighted human rights violations committed by the defense and security forces during their military operations against armed groups, as well as the issue of hate speech and other incitement to discrimination and violence that are, well, fueling the conflict and increasing political tensions across the country. Turk appealed to countries of influence to use their power to ensure the fighting stops, stating that any role played by Rwanda in supporting the M23 in North Kivu and by any other country supporting armed groups active in the DRC must end. In response, the DRC Minister of Human Rights, Chantal Mwavita, acknowledged the challenges posed by the war in the east, but claimed that her government has made great progress in protecting human rights. Mwavita pointed the finger at negative forces from outside the country, supporting the armed groups, and called on the international community to condemn these actions strongly and to impose targeted sanctions on Rwanda for its destabilizing role. Mwavita also demanded the immediate and unconditional withdrawal of Rwandan troops from DRC territory, stating that the war in the eastern provinces is closely linked to the seizure and illegal exploitation of her country's natural resources by Rwanda and other countries. Mwavita also demanded the immediate and unconditional withdrawal of Rwandan troops from DRC territory, stating that the war in the eastern provinces is closely linked to the seizure and illegal exploitation of her country's natural resources by Rwanda and other countries.